Sometimes I get up at 4 in the morning and write for a couple of hours and then go back to bed and then get up a little bit later on. I always start the day, though, by coming in here at about 9 o'clock. This is where I work, with 4 books a year, which are translated into 42 languages and published all over the world. Obviously, it's quite a business, and I have people who help me with that, Jan and Leslie. Good morning.
Good morning.
Jan, what have we got coming up?
Got busy time coming up, Sandy. You're going to Florida on Saturday, and you're there till the end of the month. And then in February, you're off to Paris, and then some UK events at the beginning of March. So you've got a really busy time.
So I have to do a lot of travelling. I go to the United States for tours 3 times a year, usually. Anyway, we get a lot of letters every day. In an average week, we might get, say, 50 letters, 40, 50 letters. We respond to all of them. Leslie looks after that. What have we got today, Leslie?
One here from Sweden.
Oh, yes.
A very nice one, which I think you'll enjoy.
I did a tour of Scandinavia last year, including Sweden. The books seem to go down well in Sweden. The Swedes like Mara Matsuri for some reason, so we hear quite a lot from them. Now watch this. This is what he does. This is Augustus Basil, who's another of my assistants, and he's very helpful, as you can see. He takes a close interest in my affairs.
This is one addressed to Mr. Alexander McCall Smith, author, near Morningside.
Good old post office. Well, it's reached me, which is the important thing. This is the room where I keep my books, and I also keep various things that I've picked up in different parts of the world. This, for example, is an African sculpture of 2 mythical creatures, which I think is rather nice. I've always been rather fond of that. This chap over here is Hamish McCunn, the Scottish romantic composer who composed Land of the Mountain and the Flood. And then that pencil drawing of a lion in a kilt is a great favourite of mine. That's by Ian Mackintosh, who's a friend of mine and the illustrator of my 44 Scotland Street books. And next to it is an embroidery of a crocodile, which comes from the cover of the No. 1 Ladies Detective Agency. That was done by a reader who very kindly sent it to me. Very kind gesture. And that over there is a serpent. I love wind instruments. I've got virtually every sort of wind instrument in this house. And that is one which I think is a marvellous, I suppose, jeu d'esprit. So this is where we deal with correspondence and all that sort of thing, but when I actually want to write, then I go next door. When I'm writing a book, I write about 3,000 to 4,000 words a day. I sit here, I don't really have to think what's going to happen in the book. I don't have to ask myself what's going to happen next, who's going to say what. It just seems to come from the subconscious mind. So I write for 2 or 3 hours and then come out of that trance, in a sense, at the end of that. I've got a number of notebooks that I take with me all over the place, and I write down ideas for the various novels that I'm working on, snatches of dialogue, descriptions, things that people say, and so on. Sometimes I write 2 books at the same time, particularly my serial novel Scotland Street, which runs in the newspaper. That tends to be written at the same time as I'm writing one of my other novels. So that's how I work. And there, over there, on those shelves, we see the end results, the novels in all their different languages throughout the world. That's the end of it all.